over there and over the European Union technocratic bureaucracy. Aaron Dykes, give us your take on this in the few minutes before break and tell us the news you've got coming up on the other side.
Well, Alex, obviously I am pretty alarmed about the situation in Italy because it's an out-and-out Bilderberg steering member, somebody who's been on the list as far back as I can trace what's going on Bilderberg from my own perspective, and that's Mario Monti. And, of course, they always have these ready-to-go nicknames, Super Mario, like he's going to save everyone. And he's just openly bringing in all these technocrats. I love Gerald Celente's quote from a few days ago that a technocrat's just a bureaucrat who knows how to cook the books, Alex. And then even more alarming are the details in this Telegraph article about Merkel's plan to really bring to power this new fund, which they openly say in the article will have the power to take ailing countries into receivership and run their economies. So it's a complete...
Well, sure, that's always the cover. It's always, oh, it's a bailout for the banks, $887 billion. Then you learn it's a blank check for the banks to take over the U.S. Now the Super Congress is making all the major laws. Bills don't originate in the House from individual members, as they've done for 200-plus years. Everything is being overwritten.
Alex,
and so
Obama's not even signing his own bills now. He's using a, quote, auto pen, some kind of copied signature while he's away on business. Have you seen this?
Yes, it's incredible. And expanding on this here, and we'll come back and get into more of this, of the rioting happening in Europe. I want the listeners to think about the magnitude of this. They're talking about it being a new Euro bond to get them out of trouble. But in the agreement for the bond, the nations waive all their rights in perpetuity. And the UK, who never even entered it to begin with, can't even get a vote on it. This is a financial military takeover. All right, we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Aaron Dykes, straight ahead. It's so exciting what's happening. I mean, it's horrifying, but it's still very, very exciting.
Do you know which 37 crucial food...
Wow, where are all those people over the last 50 years that made fun of all these military officers, government agents, and others at first who came out and warned that there was a global financial takeover happening by giant financial institutions? They wanted to destroy free market capitalism and bring in a crony system where the general public lives in a communal kind of Soviet model, but the globalists are offshore and exempt from it all and siphon the money off to themselves. And then again, for 16-plus years, I've told people, Bank of the World's coming. They'll bankrupt the major regions, the Euro, the North American Union, then the Asian Union, and then say, oh, this is a terrible crisis. The answer is a mega union. And we're entering the next to final phase now in the establishment of this. And once they have the global government in, they can then, in an orchestrated fashion, shut down the countries even more, cut off your resources. As they've said in their Plandopolis productions, they even show British school children. This is a post-industrial world by design to make you absolutely poor slaves that cannot resist. Then they'll say, get sterilized, give you welfare. Get government approval to have kids. All of this is coming in. This is all a public blueprint. We cover it in Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement. Aaron, go back to the magnitude. I mean, they're even calling this in Time Magazine, Newsweek, Financial Times of London, a banking dictatorship, a Goldman Sachs global coup. They're now taking our exact terms we've been using for many, many years because that's what it is. We didn't just hit the center of the dartboard. We were like Robin Hood, splitting the arrow with another arrow and then splitting it again and again and again and again. Now, how did we do this? Because we aren't smart, because we care. We learned history, and we know the globalist handbook. It's like if I go to a play, and it's got a big, thick breakdown or program. That's why it's called a program. Oh, here's your program. You know who's coming up next. You know who's going to sing. You know who's playing who. And you're like, oh, they're about to start the third act. Oh, this is a Shakespearean event. Aaron Dykes, you got the floor.
I mean, I agree. And, you know, groups like the Bilderberg have planned the European Union for more than 50 years, and they always hinged on these embryonic plans. They knew they couldn't open the gates with a full union, so they started with the coal and other industrial, you know, common pool treaties, getting the groups together, and now they've progressed to this stage where it is openly a total banking takeover. And I agree. It's right here in the articles. They totally admit that's what it is. They're going to put these countries into receivership and completely run them. And you can see where even if socialism isn't advisable, it's become the trend in many of these small European countries. The people are used to it, and all those social benefits they've come to depend on will be just run by bankers. So they'll say no, whatever.
And again, in Europe, they're taking around 70% of people's money, even poor people. And then they bring in the foreigners to basically be the political bloc who are on total welfare in many cases to outvote the domestic groups. This is the balkanization plan. That's why they always want to get the states here in more debt with unfunded mandates. It's all about bringing us to this implosion point.
Exactly. And if you were going to have these socialist systems, it makes sense in those smaller countries where you have some accountability. Now there's no accountability whatsoever. And they're openly using these austerity measures and going to loot the pension funds. And who knows what's going to happen to the people in these countries. But obviously the countries themselves are going to be going into one form or another of bankruptcy. And the banks are openly running the whole thing. I mean, Mario Monti is a very naked example of that, Alex.
Well, also, don't forget, they've militarized everything in the last 15 years. As soon as Europe got rid of rules on investment banks getting into general banking, as soon as they got rid of it here, this is the exact thing that's been done in Argentina and other countries. This is an exact plan. It was done in Japan. They've been in a 15-year recession, really a depression. This is all about a consolidation. That's why we were able to call it. The globalists admit it was a premeditated consolidation. And now they admit, you know, Denver's got TV ads and manuals saying, don't even trust your best friend. They're probably a terrorist. What's a terrorist? They don't like the Federal Reserve. A terrorist is a real American or a real European or a real Mexican or a real Chinese, anybody, no matter where you are in the world, who recognizes that globalism is a banker corporate takeover crime syndicate run by eugenicists. It's not just corporations taking over the world and, oh, they'll be our rulers. That's bad enough. These are psycho control freaks who cared enough about killing the majority of us to spend decades getting control. This is their religion. World government is only the means to the end. The real party starts once they've got the real power and start shutting off the resources. Then the extermination begins. Then the giant regional wars with a few areas they haven't taken over starts. This is red level emergency. Red level emergency. The New World Order is here exactly as we told you it would be. Do you want to see the next phases come true? Do you hear me? This is a Mayday emergency situation. I'm Alex Jones with Aaron Dykes, Prisonplanet.tv. Gerald Celente.
We're on the march.
Thank you for joining us. Gerald Celente is going to be our guest for the next 30 minutes. We had him on 2 days ago on the radio show. And now, of course, last night he joined us for Infowars Nightly News that Rob Dew hosted and did a great job along with the crew producing. I was watching CNBC this morning, and the host who was anchoring it went to Cramer, Jim Cramer, and two other field reporters who were in the New York Stock Exchange. And the anchor host, I think they said his name was Jamie, I forget his last name, but this was on about 2-3 hours ago. He said on there, well, the markets are going down because of MF Global, not because of the bankruptcy, but because first we were told the money disappeared, 600 to 900 million. Now we're told that they found it, but now again, they won't say where it is. This looks like theft. And that's what is really driving down the markets and driving down speculation in commodities and other things. He said this is really a serious situation. Then he cuts to Cramer and he cuts to the other people, and they all say, well, this type of thing happens sometimes, and you know that's what happens when you're speculating or whatever. No, this was segregated accounts, and AP, Reuters, Bloomberg, Forbes, they've all reported this is unprecedented. That's why investors are freaking out and getting out of the market. That's why people don't trust banks. We've already had all these semi-runs on banks, people trying to take their money out of Bank of America, JP Morgan, Chase, Wells Fargo, and others, because they understand that. And some of the banks try to refuse to give you your money. You've seen the attempts to ratchet up all these fees. This is what the cashless society is about. They get to take your money and then not get in trouble. So as this broke earlier in the week, suddenly there was going to be judges involved, and they were going to get the money back. Well, now MF Global and all the little companies it grabbed up, like the one that Celente's been doing trades through for more than 30 years, suddenly they were going to give the money back. Now they're saying, oh, we don't know where it is. And it's just a new situation where you don't get your money back. First it was you might get a little back, and then no, you'll get it all back. And now, sorry, it's gone. And the funny thing was, and I'm going to Gerald, is that about 5 minutes later, they go to break, and they come back with the host who's there anchoring, from the news desk. And he goes, actually, just to clarify things, I've researched all these rumors of the money being stolen, and they're just that. They're rumors. We can't confirm. So I just want to say that. So we know the money's gone, and he admitted it was a theft, and that's what's hurting the market. Then he comes back 5 minutes later and was chastised, I guess, behind the scenes in his earpiece or whatever. And it's like, actually, there's nothing to these rumors. He didn't say conspiracy theories. But, the money's gone, but that's just it. So joining us now is Trends Forecast researcher, Trends forecaster Gerald Celente, who had more than $100,000 taken that was in his account, his money, and he was going to take physical December delivery. And, of course, a lot of people had predicted that you'd see problems in December with delivery because a lot of these companies, they believe, don't have the physical gold. Gerald Celente, thank you for joining us. Give us the latest developments with your case, and then I want to get your take and your expert analysis and breakdown, along with Aaron Dykes, who also rides shotgun with us because I'm on the road. With Germany's secret plans to derail a British referendum on EU, they admit it's a total banker dictatorship, a Goldman Sachs coup, that's Time magazine, over Europe, but they say how great. Goldman will now manage Europe. They'll fix the problems when they literally piloted the problem with all their minions and all the finance positions, prime minister and president's positions, preparing for this takedown. On the way up, they made tens of trillions selling the derivatives garbage. Now they have the government agents they control sign on to those debts and then have the whore media, or prostitute as you call them, sell the public on it's your debt, it's your fault. And they're telling them, we're taking part of your pension funds, we're taking your money, we're raising your taxes. Sorry if you go out of business, it's our money, give it to us. So all Hades is literally breaking loose. Gerald Celente.
Yes, thank you, Alex. Let me first explain, because a lot of people don't seem to understand this. It is like having a layaway plan. You go to a store and you're going to buy something, but you don't have all the money yet. So you just keep adding money into it until you have enough money, and then you go pick it up. Now imagine that you go pick it up and you go to the place where the store was, and the store is no longer there. And you put all the money in. That's exactly what happened to me. I was building the account, having planned it out that I would take delivery this month. And I kept putting money into my account, building my account until I had enough money. So all those morons out there that are saying what I'm doing, oh, you didn't believe in paper, this and that, you don't know what you're talking about. Number two, I just got off the phone with the broker. Here's the deal. People like myself that had money in the account and the position to pick up the gold, we're getting nothing, zero. Some people are getting 60 cents on their dollar. Now, here's the big lie. And those guys, I mean, anybody that watches CNBC and believes those little guys out there that are always, sucking up and bowing down to the money men, they should have their head examined. Because here's the deal. The CME Group, and this is a story that we broke with you last night. The CME Group is the exchange that handles all the derivatives and the commodities. That's the exchange, like the New York Stock Exchange handles stocks. The CME Group handles derivatives and commodities. Now, commodities isn't just speculation. Farmers use it. Airlines use it. Millions and millions of people use exchanges and businesses buying futures for delivery. Now, here is what the CEO of the CME Group, Terrence Duffy, said last year. We picked this up after doing research. We pulled it up. This was at a press conference with the former Mayor Daley, who he called his great friend. No customer